Red Bull's latest driver decision has set off a storm of criticism, and the backlash is louder than ever. The controversial swap between Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda has left fans and analysts questioning whether the team made the right call. Dr. Helmut Marko himself has admitted that a mistake may have been made regarding Lawson's promotion. But the real question is, can Red Bull recover from this decision, or are they setting themselves up for an even bigger problem? Christian Horner and the Red Bull team now find themselves at the center of scrutiny, having made history with the shortest driver tenure ever in the team's lineup. Before Lawson, this record was held by Belgian driver Doornbos in 2006, who only got 3 races with the team. But now, with just 2 races under his belt, Lawson's exit has sparked heated debates. Even Horner and Marko have acknowledged the error, and their public admission has only fueled the fire. When discussing why the switch was made so early in the season, Horner explained, "It was difficult watching Liam struggle with the RB21 in the first 2 races. As a result, we made the collective decision to act swiftly. Our goal this season is clear: to defend the Drivers' Championship and reclaim the Constructors' title. This move is based purely on performance." Horner also pointed out that developing the RB21 is still an ongoing process, and Tsunoda's experience could play a key role in making improvements. But is it really that simple? Lawson's challenges with the RB21 are undeniable, but if we take a broader look at the circumstances, things get far more complicated. For starters, the tracks he raced on weren't ideal for a new driver. He had 0 prior experience on these circuits, and the first race was held under unpredictable weather conditions. The second event, on the other hand, was a sprint weekend, leaving almost no time for adjustments. Qualifying at the back of the grid in China twice on pure pace was far from ideal for Red Bull's expectations. It painted a picture that Lawson wasn't necessarily an upgrade over Sergio Perez, but was this truly a reflection of his potential, or did circumstances play a bigger role in his struggles? Following his exit, Lawson shared an emotional message on Instagram, expressing his disappointment, but also his gratitude. "Being a Red Bull driver has been my dream since childhood. I've worked my entire life for this opportunity. It's tough, but I'm thankful for everything that led me here. To everyone who supported me, I appreciate it more than you know." He also thanked Racing Bulls for welcoming him back, emphasizing his excitement for what's ahead. Despite Lawson's positive outlook, Red Bull's handling of the situation hasn't helped their reputation. The fact remains, he was let go after just 2 races without any proper private testing in Red Bull's machinery before his debut. By contrast, Mercedes took a completely different approach with Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Even while competing in Formula 2, Antonelli was already getting extensive testing in previous Mercedes F1 cars, ensuring he was as prepared as possible. Marko himself admitted that the team mismanaged its driver lineup, stating, "Yuki was inconsistent, which is why we initially chose Lawson. But he couldn't handle the pressure right from day 1 in Australia. After that, things spiraled downward. Like a boxer taking too many hits, it was tough for him to recover. From that perspective, it was a mistake to pick Lawson." His words make one thing clear: Red Bull underestimated the demands of their second seat and failed to create the right conditions for Lawson to succeed. And now, a new question arises. Will Tsunoda truly deliver? Or is the issue deeper than just the driver? A scenario that could put Red Bull in an even tougher spot is if Lawson outperforms Tsunoda in Japan. He'll be driving a much more manageable car, one that suits his style better, and he'll be racing on a circuit he knows inside out. If he delivers a strong performance, it will raise serious concerns about Red Bull's decision-making. Was the problem really with Lawson? Or is there something fundamentally wrong with the RB21? If Red Bull knew the car was difficult to handle, why didn't they bring in a more experienced driver? Someone like Carlos Sainz, or even Alexander Albon. Drivers who have proven they can adapt and contribute to car development. Instead, Red Bull made a hasty decision that may now come back to haunt them. The controversy only deepened when a former F1 driver, Guido van der Garde, shared his thoughts on the situation. His post gained significant traction, with several F1 drivers, including Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, Oscar Piastri, and Nico Hülkenberg, liking it. This reaction from the racing community suggests that many within the sport disagree with Red Bull's handling of Lawson. Van der Garde didn't hold back, pointing out how tough it is for a rookie to settle into an F1 team. He argued that the kind of pressure Lawson faced could be considered borderline unfair, even calling it a form of psychological wear and tear. 2 races is far too little time to judge a driver's potential. Development updates haven't even kicked in yet, and the team is already making major changes, he stated. Meanwhile, Jos Verstappen also showed his support for Lawson, liking a post welcoming the Kiwi driver back to Racing Bulls. He even commented that Lawson absolutely deserves a spot in Formula One and should keep pushing forward. This level of support from key figures in the sport speaks volumes about how this entire situation is being perceived. Those who are close to Red Bull understand that the real issue might not be the driver, but the car itself. If Tsunoda also fails to meet expectations, serious questions will arise about the RB21's performance and the second seat's instability. After all, Tsunoda has been in F1 for 5 years, yet his competitive outings for Red Bull have been limited. His only real taste of a top-tier Red Bull car came during the Pirelli post-season tire test last year. Christian Horner is banking on Tsunoda's experience to provide stability, but the reality is far more complicated. Red Bull also had high hopes for Lawson, believing his experience in DTM and Super Formula would allow him to adapt quickly. Yet, after just 2 races, they abandoned that plan entirely. This brings up a major concern. Why didn't Red Bull handle Lawson's development the way Mercedes did with Antonelli? The Brackley-based team has been transparent about their strategy for the young Italian, ensuring he gets as much testing as possible before stepping into an F1 car. They knew he would need time to adjust, and they made sure he was ready before throwing him into high-pressure race conditions. Bernie Collins, a former Aston Martin strategist, summed it up perfectly. We've seen how much Antonelli has been testing with Mercedes. Even if he was in a different car like a Williams, it wouldn't have been the same. Red Bull is known for being difficult to drive, so why didn't they give Lawson the same preparation? Why wasn't he given a proper testing program with an older Red Bull chassis? That would have at least given him a fighting chance. With the spotlight now on Red Bull, the pressure is mounting. If Tsunoda struggles in Japan and fails to outperform his Racing Bulls teammates, the criticism will only intensify. It could confirm what many are already suspecting, that the RB21 is flawed, and the second seat is becoming a revolving door for drivers who never get a fair shot. All eyes are now on Red Bull as they prepare for the next race in Japan. If Tsunoda doesn't deliver the results expected of him, it will raise serious doubts about whether the team made the right call. A disappointing performance could also reignite discussions about the car's flaws, rather than just the drivers. After all, Max Verstappen has been vocal about Red Bull's struggles, and even his father, Jos Verstappen, has hinted that Max won't stay with the team if things continue to go downhill. This situation highlights just how extraordinary Verstappen's talent is. Despite driving a car that seems far from perfect, he has managed to stay in the title fight, sitting only 8 points behind the championship leader. However, if Red Bull's development issues persist, the gap will only widen. At that point, not only will Verstappen drop out of the championship race, but Red Bull could also find themselves slipping out of the top 3 in the constructors' standings. For Christian Horner, this is a nightmare scenario. As the team principal and CEO, his job is to ensure Red Bull remains competitive. Yet, in just 2 years, the team has gone from winning 21 out of 22 races in 2023 to being the 4th fastest on the grid. That's a dramatic decline, and one that even Verstappen warned about when he was dominating races with a 30-second lead. The bigger question now is whether Red Bull can recover before it's too late. Have they mismanaged their driver lineup to the point of no return? More importantly, will this decision to swap Lawson for Tsunoda backfire on them? What do you think? Was this the right call, or will Red Bull regret it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As Red Bull moves forward, the pressure is greater than ever. The decision to swap Lawson for Tsunoda might have been made in hopes of improving their championship chances, but if it backfires, the consequences could be severe. With Verstappen growing increasingly frustrated and rival teams closing the gap, Red Bull is walking a fine line. If Tsunoda fails to make a significant impact, it will only add to the growing speculation about the instability within the team. Questions will arise not just about the drivers, but about the RB21 itself and whether Red Bull has lost its edge in car development. Meanwhile, other teams have made steady progress, ensuring that any mistake from Red Bull will be costly. At the end of the day, Formula One is not just about speed. It's about strategy, consistency, and decision-making under pressure. Right. Now Red Bull finds itself in a situation where every move is being scrutinized. The team has enjoyed dominance in recent years, but as history has shown, even the most powerful teams can fall if they don't adapt. So, was dropping Lawson the right move, or will Red Bull come to regret it? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. This decision has put Red Bull in the spotlight, and the entire F1 world is watching. Stay tuned for more updates as the drama unfolds in the world of Formula One.